In the unforgiving heat of the New Mexico desert, where secrets are buried beneath endless sand and silence reigns supreme, something fell from the stars in the summer of 1947. What happened next would become America's most enduring mystery, a puzzle wrapped in classified documents, locked behind government denials and whispered about in the shadows of conspiracy. This is the story of Roswell, a story the United States government never wanted you to hear. July 8, 1947. The Roswell Army Airfield, home to the world's only atomic bomber squadron, issues a statement that would shake the nation to its core. We have recovered a flying disc. Within hours, newspapers across America screamed the headlines. The impossible had happened. We were not alone. But then, silence. 24 hours later, the military retracted everything. A weather balloon, they said, a simple mistake. Nothing to see here, America. Go back to sleep. But some secrets refused to stay buried in the desert sand. It began with a rancher named Mac Brazel, a hard-working American who knew his land like the back of his weathered hands. On a scorching July morning, Brazel rode out across his property near Corona, New Mexico, and discovered something that would haunt him for the rest of his days. Scattered across 3/4 of a mile of his ranch lay debris unlike anything he'd ever seen. Strange metallic fragments that wouldn't burn, materials so lightweight they seemed to defy physics, yet so strong they couldn't be cut, bent, or broken. Foil-like substances that, when crumpled, would smooth themselves back out, as if possessing a memory of their own form. Brazel gathered samples and brought them to Sheriff George Wilcox in Roswell. The sheriff, sensing this was beyond his jurisdiction, contacted the Roswell Army Airfield. What happened next remains one of the most controversial military operations in American history. Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer, was dispatched to investigate. Marcel, a decorated World War II veteran trained to identify aircraft from any nation on Earth, would later make a stunning confession. It was nothing from this world. I'd never seen anything like it. The military descended on the Brazel ranch like a swarm. Armed soldiers, black vehicles, a perimeter established. For days they combed every inch of the crash site, removing every trace of evidence. Ranchers in the area reported seeing convoys of military trucks, covered tarps concealing mysterious cargo, heading toward the base under cover of darkness. And then came the announcement that would change everything. But before we reveal what happened next, if you're fascinated by America's hidden mysteries and want to uncover more shocking truths the government doesn't want you to know, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below. Do you believe the Roswell cover-up? Let's discuss what really happened that night in the New Mexico desert. Lieutenant Walter Haut, the public information officer at Roswell Army Airfield, issued the press release that would echo through decades. The intelligence office reports that we have recovered a flying disc. The news exploded across America. Radio broadcasts interrupted regular programming. Newspapers from Los Angeles to New York ran the story on front pages. For one brief, extraordinary moment, the United States military had confirmed the existence of UFOs. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the truth vanished. The very next day, General Roger Ramey held a press conference in Fort Worth, Texas. The debris, now conveniently different from what witnesses had described, was displayed for photographers. A weather balloon, Ramey announced with military authority, a Rowan target device used for meteorological research. The officers had simply made an embarrassing mistake. But those who had seen the real debris knew better. Mac Brazel was held at the military base for nearly a week, a civilian detained without explanation. When he finally emerged, neighbors noted he seemed different, shaken. He refused to discuss what he'd seen, telling friends only, "I'm sorry I ever reported the damn thing." Major Jesse Marcel was ordered to pose for photographs with the weather balloon debris. Debris he later swore was not what he'd recovered from the ranch. He was told to keep silent, his military career hanging in the balance. Witnesses reported being visited by military intelligence officers, threatened with imprisonment, told that speaking about what they'd seen would be considered treason against the United States. In the midst of Cold War paranoia and rising nuclear tensions, the government wielded fear like a weapon, and silence became survival. The Roswell incident was buried, classified, locked away in filing cabinets marked top secret. For 30 years, it would remain America's forgotten mystery. But the truth has a way of resurfacing. In the 1980s, the wall of silence began to crack. Glenn Dennis, a mortician working in Roswell in 1947, came forward with a chilling account. He claimed the military had contacted the funeral home requesting child-sized coffins and information about preserving bodies exposed to the elements. When he visited the base hospital, military police forcibly removed him. But not before a nurse he knew pulled him aside and described something that still defies explanation. She had witnessed an autopsy, not of humans but of beings unlike anything in medical textbooks. Small bodies, approximately 3 to 4 feet tall. Oversized heads with large dark eyes. No hair, no visible ears. Skin that appeared grayish and almost translucent. She drew sketches of what she'd seen, her hands trembling as she recreated the otherworldly anatomy. Days later, that nurse was transferred to England. She was never heard from again. Lieutenant Colonel Philip Corso, a former Pentagon official, published explosive allegations in his book, The Day After Roswell. He claimed that technology recovered from the crash had been secretly reverse-engineered and seeded into American defense contractors, giving birth to innovations like fiber optics, integrated circuits, and night vision technology. Alien technology, he insisted, had jump-started America's technological revolution. First Lieutenant Walter Haut, the very officer who issued the original flying disc press release, left behind a sealed affidavit to be opened after his death. In 2007, the world finally read his confession. There had been a craft. There had been bodies. He had personally seen them. The weather balloon story was a cover-up orchestrated at the highest levels of the U.S. military. Sergeant Robert Smith, who worked at the Roswell base, described loading crates onto a B-29 bomber bound for Wright Field in Ohio, crates that required armed guards and were classified above top secret. We weren't told what we were handling, he later revealed, but we knew it was something that could change everything. The pattern was unmistakable. Multiple military personnel with nothing to gain and everything to lose were breaking decades of silence to reveal the same story. Something extraordinary had crashed in the New Mexico desert, something not made by human hands. The United States government, faced with mounting evidence and persistent questions, finally responded in 1994, nearly 50 years after the incident. The Air Force released the Roswell Report, Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, a 1,000-page document claiming the debris came from Project Mogul, a classified Cold War program using high-altitude surveillance balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. The alien bodies, they later added in a 1997 follow-up report, were actually crash test dummies dropped from high-altitude balloons in the 1950s. The problem? The dummy drops occurred a full decade after the Roswell incident. Were Americans expected to believe that multiple witnesses had confused events separated by 10 years? The government's explanations raised more questions than answers. Why would a weather balloon require a massive military recovery operation? Why were witnesses threatened into silence over meteorological equipment? Why were high-ranking intelligence officers unable to identify standard military technology? Area 51, the top-secret Nevada test site that officially didn't exist until 2013, became synonymous with Roswell in the American consciousness. Despite the facility's documented use for testing classified aircraft like the U-2 spy plane, persistent rumors connected it to extraterrestrial research and the storage of alien technology recovered from Roswell. The Freedom of Information Act has released thousands of documents related to UFO investigations, yet key files related to Roswell remain classified or mysteriously lost. The National Archives claims that crucial documents from the Roswell Army Airfield for July 1947 have vanished, a convenient disappearance that fuels suspicion of ongoing cover-ups. Organizations like MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, founded in 1969, continue to investigate UFO sightings across the United States, accumulating tens of thousands of reports that match descriptions from the Roswell incident. In 2020, the Pentagon officially released Navy footage of unidentified aerial phenomena that defied conventional physics, lending new credibility to decades-old claims. The question haunts American discourse. If nothing extraordinary happened at Roswell, why has the government spent 75 years trying to explain it away? The mystery deepens, America. If you want to explore more classified incidents and government secrets that have been hidden from the public, make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications on. Check out our playlist on America's Greatest Cover-Ups, linked in the description below. And tell us in the comments, what do you think really crashed in Roswell? Alien spacecraft or classified military technology? Your voice matters in uncovering the truth. Today, Roswell, New Mexico, population 48,000, has embraced its place in American mythology. The International UFO Museum and Research Center draws hundreds of thousands of visitors annually. The town's streetlights are shaped like alien heads. Every July, the UFO Festival transforms the quiet desert community into a gathering place for believers, skeptics, and truth seekers from across the nation. But beneath the tourist attractions and alien-themed merchandise lies a more profound question that continues to haunt the American psyche. Are we alone in the universe? The Roswell incident represents something deeper than a simple crash in the desert. It embodies America's complicated relationship with government transparency, our hunger for truth in an age of classified information, and our eternal fascination with the unknown. 77 years have passed since that July night when something fell from the sky into the New Mexico desert. The original witnesses are gone, taking their secrets to graves scattered across America. Government documents remain sealed. The debris has disappeared into the classified depths of military warehouses. Yet the questions persist, echoing across generations. What did Mac Brazel find on his ranch? What did Major Marcel truly recover? What did that nurse witness in the base hospital? And most importantly, what is the United States government still hiding? The answers lie buried somewhere in the desert sand, locked in filing cabinets marked Top Secret, and hidden in the memories of those who witnessed the impossible and were told to forget. But America doesn't forget. We question, we investigate, we seek truth. And perhaps that's the real legacy of Roswell, not aliens or cover-ups, but the enduring American spirit that refuses to accept easy answers when the truth is out there, waiting to be discovered. The desert keeps its secrets well, but secrets, like shadows, eventually come into the light.